I'm not telling this story for attention. I'm telling it because I still don't sleep through the night, and maybe saying it out loud will finally make it stop replaying in my head. This happened in late 2021, when my fiancée Gabby and I moved into what we thought would be our first real home together. It was a 2-story house in a quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind of place realtors describe as safe, family-friendly, and peaceful. Clean sidewalks, perfect lawns, no noise at night, no drama. At least, that's what we thought. On the day we moved in, our neighbors to the right came over to introduce themselves. The man said his name was Daniel. His wife was Veronica. They looked to be in their late 30s, well-dressed, polite, and overly friendly in a way that felt rehearsed. Veronica handed Gabby a red velvet cake wrapped in foil. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she said. "If you need anything at all, let us know." I remember noticing how tightly she gripped the plate, like she was afraid she might drop it. Her smile stayed on her face the entire time, but her eyes never stopped scanning the street. Daniel stood slightly behind her, one hand resting on her shoulder. At the time, I thought it was affection. I didn't realize yet that it was ownership. For the first few weeks, everything was quiet. Too quiet. Then one night, around 1 a.m., I woke up to yelling. It wasn't loud enough to understand at first, just raised voices bleeding through the wall we shared with Daniel and Veronica's house. I lay there listening, trying to convince myself it was just a TV. Then I heard Veronica's voice clearly. She sounded scared. "Daniel, please, just stop." There was a loud bang. Something heavy hitting something solid. And then nothing. The silence afterward felt wrong. Not peaceful. Heavy. Like the house itself was holding its breath. Gabby asked me if I heard it too. I told her yes. We didn't call the police. We didn't check on them. We told ourselves it wasn't our business. The arguments became more frequent. Always late at night. Always intense. Always ending abruptly. One night, I looked out the bedroom window and saw Veronica rush out of their front door barefoot. She was crying, shouting something I couldn't hear. She jumped into her car and sped off down the street. Daniel didn't follow her. He stood in the doorway, completely still, watching the road long after she disappeared. Her car never came back. Days passed, then weeks. Daniel started acting differently after that. He avoided everyone. When I saw him outside, he looked nervous, like he was afraid of being seen. He stopped making eye contact altogether. At night, lights flickered inside his house at strange hours. Sometimes I heard dull thuds through the wall. Other times, faint sounds that reminded me of someone moving slowly, carefully. Once, around 3 a.m., I woke up to what sounded like crying. It wasn't loud. It was muffled, controlled, like someone was trying very hard not to make noise. Gabby was the first to say something felt wrong. She asked me where Veronica was. I didn't have an answer. No one had seen her. No one talked about it. Eventually, curiosity turned into fear. One evening, I walked over and knocked on Daniel's door. It took a long time for him to answer. When he did, he was sweating heavily, even though it was cold outside. His eyes kept darting past me, like he was listening for something inside the house. I asked him if Veronica was okay. He smiled instantly. "She's out of state," he said. "Her mother's sick." Before I could respond, I heard something from inside the house. A dull thud, then a woman's voice. "Help me." It wasn't distant. It wasn't unclear. It was right there. Daniel laughed immediately. "Sorry," he said. "Just a movie upstairs." But his hands were shaking. And there was a smell coming from inside his house, something sour and metallic that made my stomach turn. I left without saying another word. And the moment I got back inside, I called the police. The police arrived within the hour. They searched the house. I stayed outside with Gabby, watching as officers went in and out, their expressions growing more serious every time. When they opened the basement door, one of the officers actually stepped back. Veronica had never left. She had been kept hidden for weeks. Daniel had gone to extreme lengths to make it look like she was gone selling her car, avoiding neighbors, keeping the house quiet. Veronica didn't survive. As Daniel was let out in handcuffs, he looked directly at me. He smiled. "I know it was you," he said calmly. "You'll regret this." 3 nights later, I woke up unable to move. There was someone standing at the foot of my bed. It was Daniel. He looked exactly the same as the last time I saw him, calm, smiling, confident. He was holding something in his hand that caught the moonlight from the window. "I told you," he whispered. "You'll regret it." I screamed and woke up. Gabby was shaking me, asking what was wrong. I told her it was just a nightmare. But nightmares don't leave smells behind. That same sour, metallic smell lingered in the room long after I woke up. We moved a few months later. New town, new house. I don't sleep well anymore. Sometimes, when it's quiet, too quiet, I hear something. Not shouting, not footsteps, just a soft voice, begging, from inside the walls. And I know, no matter how far we go, some neighbors never really leave. The first thing I noticed about the house across the street was the light. It was always on. Not a porch light, not a hallway lamp. The upstairs bedroom light. It didn't matter what time it was, midnight, 3 a.m. Just before dawn, that single window glowed a sickly yellow every night, like an unblinking eye. At first, I didn't think much of it. People have insomnia. People forget to turn lights off. But over time, the way it never went dark started to feel wrong. My wife, Lena, and I moved into the neighborhood in early autumn. It was one of those quiet developments where the houses looked similar enough to be confusing, and the streets curved gently, discouraging traffic and visitors. The realtor called it peaceful. It was quiet, yes, but peace implies comfort. This place felt watchful. The neighbor across the street moved in the same week we did. I never saw a moving truck. Never saw friends or family helping. Just one evening, the house went from empty to occupied. The light turned on that night and stayed on. His name, I later learned, was Mr. Calder. That's what the mailbox said. I met him a few days after we settled in. I was taking the trash out when I noticed him standing at the edge of his driveway, staring at our house. He didn't turn away when he noticed me. He just smiled slowly, like he'd been expecting me to look. He was older, late 60s, maybe, tall but thin, with a stooped posture that made him look like he was constantly leaning forward, listening. His eyes were pale and watery, almost reflective in the evening light. "Evening," I said. "Evening," he echoed, a half second too late. Silence followed. "I'm Daniel," I added, gesturing vaguely toward my house. "We just moved in." "I know," he said. The way he said it made my stomach tighten. "I'm Calder," he continued. "I like to keep an eye on things." He smiled again. That night, the upstairs light burned brighter than usual. The first sound woke me around 2:40 a.m. It was faint, almost easy to dismiss. A tapping noise, not on our house, across the street. I lay still, listening. Tap, pause, tap tap, pause. It sounded like fingernails against glass. I got up quietly and peered through the living room window. The street was empty, silent, but the upstairs light in Mr. Calder's house was on, casting a dim glow onto the lawn. And then I saw movement. A shadow passed in front of the window. Slow, unnatural. It didn't look like a person walking. It looked like something leaning in and out of the light, repeatedly. Tap, tap, tap. I stepped back from the window. The sound stopped instantly. Over the next few weeks, patterns formed. Mr. Calder never left during the day, but every night, precisely at 11:47 p.m., his front door opened. He would step outside, stand on the porch, and look directly at our house. Always our house. He never waved, never spoke, just stared for exactly 1 minute, then went back inside. Lena noticed it too. "That's weird, right?" she asked one night, peeking through the blinds. "Yeah," I said. "Weird. We didn't call the police. We didn't confront him. We just closed the curtains." That's when the dream started. I dreamt of standing in my bedroom, staring out the window at the light across the street. In the dream, I couldn't move, couldn't blink. The light flickered once, and suddenly, the window was closer. Too close. I woke up gasping, my heart pounding, convinced someone had been standing over me. Lena started having nightmares too. "They're not dreams," she whispered one morning, eyes rimmed red. "They feel like memories." Our next-door neighbor, Mrs. Holloway, stopped me while I was checking the mail. "You should keep your blinds closed at night," she said quietly. I laughed awkwardly. "Why is that?" She glanced across the street. "He watches," she said, "and he doesn't like being watched back." I asked her what she meant. She didn't answer. 2 days later, her house was empty. Lights off, curtains gone, for sale sign on the lawn. The scratching began on our house a week later. At first, it was just on the siding. Soft, intermittent. Then it moved to the windows. Not breaking, not pounding, scratching, like something testing the surface. I checked the security cameras. Nothing. No animals. No people. But every night at exactly 3:12 a.m., the scratching returned. And every time it did, the upstairs light across the street flickered in response. I confronted Mr. Calder on a foggy morning. I crossed the street before I could talk myself out of it. He answered the door immediately, like he'd been waiting behind it. "Yes?" he asked pleasantly. "Are you watching our house?" I demanded. His smile widened. "Of course," he said. "It's my turn now." "My turn for what?" He leaned closer, his breath smelling faintly of dust and something rotten. To be seen. That night, the light went out for the first time. I felt a wave of relief until I realized our bedroom light had turned on by itself. Lena screamed. The scratching was inside the walls now. Moving. Circling. I ran outside, driven by panic and rage, and crossed the street. Mr. Calder's front door was open. The house was empty. No furniture. No photos. No dust. Just walls lined with mirrors. And in every mirror, our house. From every angle. Every room. Every night. Recorded. Preserved. Documented. In the center of the upstairs bedroom was a chair. Facing a window. Facing our house. The police never found Mr. Calder. They said the house had been vacant for years. They said no one by that name had ever lived there. We moved away a month later. New town, new street, new neighbors. But last night, as I unpacked the last box, I noticed something. A house across the street. An upstairs light. Turning on and staying on.